The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors: Woodland Stud, Brecon Farms, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred, Stonewall Stud, the clubs Alexandra Park, Cambridge, Addington and Ashburton, Garrard's Horse and Hound, and IRT. It's your horse and our passion. Hi everyone, welcome into another edition of Your Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors getting behind the show each and every week. Michael Guerin, I'm going to describe last Friday night's Addington action as the most enjoyable in a very long time for me. What about for you?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for watching the show on a Wednesday or a Thursday, even if you're watching it a little bit later. What a night it was, Greg. Gee, it was fun. I actually watched the whole thing from home. Loved every minute of it. Reminded me of those really big Addington meetings 20, 30 years ago. Big fields. Sure, the open class race wasn't enormous, but still full of quality. Some interesting news coming out today, Greg, from all the sources you've spoken to, not just post-race, but heading forward to the Auckland Carnival, because some of the big names we're expecting may not be there, Greg, from my end, up here in Auckland. Also some question marks about Copy That. All of that coming up on the Box Seat today.
Right, let's get straight into it, Michael. With Brecon Farms, let's go to the trotting performance of the week, and it did come in the 53rd running of the Fred Shaw Memorial New Zealand Trotting Championship. Here's Matt Cross bringing them home in an epic clash and plenty of information post-race.
Bolt for Brilliance trying to rally. Here we go. Sunday Sun and Muscle Mountain set down to fight it out. Muscle Mountain moves to Sunday Sun, and it's Ben Hope in his first Group 1. Muscle Mountain got there. Beat Sunday Sun. Third Bolt for Brilliance. What a horse race.
Congratulations, Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Yeah, no, it was a huge thrill. Super horse and extremely lucky to get the drive.
Gate speed early, we haven't seen that before.
No, definitely not. No, it's quite funny. I never had the intention of going out. I was just going to let him go out at his own steam. But as we got behind the gate, he was just travelling that good that I thought I'll have a go, and luckily, it worked out.
The race itself, coming off the back Sunday Sun, we're not talking about any slouches around you here. This is a horse who's won multiple Group 1s. And you're going up alongside of him like you've been in that position.
Oh, definitely. As a harness racing fanatic, just to beat a horse like Sunday Sun was amazing, let alone win a Group 1. So, it wasn't until about the 100-metre mark that I thought I'd beat him. All the way up the straight, Sunday Sun kept kicking, and as we know, he's a hard horse to get past. So, full credit to Muscle Mountain.
Question now will be, and I've already put this to your mum, what do you do next? Because Auckland was off the radar. What would you like to do?
Well, to be fair, I'd like to miss Auckland and go to the Jewels. I know that might sound silly being a trotter in good form, but he's only 4. He's going to have a huge few years if we look after him. There's going to be plenty more Row Cups to come if we look after him and that. So I'd like to just miss that and go to the Jewels. But in saying that, it's up to Mum and Dad and Ian and Janice, and whatever they do will be the right decision. So, yeah.
What about their confidence, particularly Ian and Janice, to leave you on the horse? You set out on the track, pretty well they could have put someone else on this.
100%, yeah. No, there's plenty of great drivers sitting in the stand, so for them to stick by me was pretty cool. Like early on I sort of had the drive, and I thought with the group races coming up they might elect to go with somebody else, but to their credit, Ian and Janice have shown a lot of faith in me, so lucky enough we rewarded them today.
Group 1 winning driver, Ben Hope, that's got a nice ring to it.
Oh, I got a huge, no, it's unbelievable. Yeah, cheers, Greg.
Oh, it's going to take a while to wipe that smile away.
Oh, I know, and my voice too. No, that was most exciting. Like, to win a Group 1 is amazing, but to have your son out there on him is a whole new thing. Yeah, it's awesome.
He went to the next level tonight, the horse, though. He came off the gate for a start, and that was a surprise.
Yeah, we weren't expecting. Like Ben said, I won't be able to cross. Because he's never shown any gate speed before, but tonight he wasn't as shaking as much tonight too. He was happier in his stall, and he was spot on tonight. Yeah.
There's always been a lot of talk about the 4-year-olds, and he's probably been just in the background of those, but he's well and truly got himself up near the front now.
Yeah, that was only his 16th race tonight, so we've lightly raced him, and that's probably why he's not seen out there as often as some of the others, but he's definitely got the ability, yeah.
And there's been challenges with him too. You've often had some problems with his bloods and getting them right.
Yeah, and just the iron levels in his blood were always low, and so we've sort of been working on that, and it's this week was the first time that it's the best his blood's ever been. So yeah.
I know Auckland wasn't going to be on the radar. Cambridge definitely was. Does that win tonight change things?
Maybe, maybe not. We'll just see how he comes through the run. He was lucky he got the easiest run of the three good ones tonight. So yeah, no, I haven't been down to see the horse yet. So, but yeah, at this stage it's Cambridge, and we were a bit worried too about Cambridge, the fact that he had no gate speed, but he sort of showed a little bit tonight. So that's it's good, yeah. But we'll see, yeah.
Well, congratulations to you, Greg and Ben. That's a big win for the Wood End team.
Oh, it is. It's awesome. Yeah, shame my other little boy wasn't here to see it, but he wouldn't have even watched the race.
Great contest.
Very good contest, Greg. Did a good lead time. We all did a bit of work, and I still got my cheap sectionals mid-stage and tried out sprinting them, but the new kid on the block got me.
At the top of the straight, you'd banged a 28.7 second last quarter into them, so you were rolling. Were you confident?
No, Ben sort of loomed up to me pretty quick, but my fella was still trucking good. At the furlong, I sort of knew Ben just had me measure, and good on him too, because a young kid like that deserves that win.
You're on your way up though, and you're on your way up north. That's got to give you confidence going to races you know you can win.
Yeah, it does actually. He's great that way round. He's improved off that last start run here when he ran a sort of a mediocre but still good fourth. And I was still wrapped tonight. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks up there.
So great information there from both Nina and Ben Hope, and then from John Dunn. I actually had an interview there with Tony Hurley. We had a bit of a technical glitch, but Michael, he wasn't totally disappointed. He said he just got in around that last bend, last 800 metres, 55.4, so there's a new record broken. But let's concentrate on the winner. 10 from 16 now, beautifully handled by Ben. No Auckland for him. Spoke to Greg Hope this morning and he said, no, we're sticking to the plan. We'll have a trial at Cambridge the week before the Jewels. We want to look after him. He's got a huge future ahead. And he said this, Michael, as satisfying as any of Mombay's wins last Friday night.
Yeah, I'll bet it is, Greg, to have your son drive a Group 1 winner, at Addington. It's not like it's a Group 1 where you've managed to sneak an easy one. He's run past the best trotter and probably two trotters in the country. And it was an aggressive drive by Ben. Look, had he just fallen into the trail and did everything easily, you go, oh, well, anybody could have done that. Pushed the button early, got across the favourite from the inside, but no one thought he would. Handed to the right horse. Lots of excellent parts to that drive. He's a popular kid, Ben, because as we all know, he was part of the stable even before he was really licensed. He's worked for mum and dad. He takes on a lot of the work there with the media, for example. And as a driver, I think a lot of people thought, well, he's driving because he's their son. But then you've got to keep improving to be good enough to drive in Group 1s, and he is. So I think a lot of people are really happy on that level. A new face to talk to in harness racing at Group 1 level. Horse show gate speed, which is crucial for obviously the Jewels, Greg. That's key information you've given us there, that he's not heading to Auckland because he's second favourite in the tab markets for the Anzac Cup. He's not going. So take him out of play. You're getting 25% back into that market. Sunday Sun I thought was good, but he can't be racing as good as he was at Christmas, Greg, surely, because it's hard to believe Muscle Mountain could have run past that one, or the one who won the Dominion, unless I'm undervaluing Muscle Mountain.
Maybe he's getting back to his absolute peak, and we might see that in the Anzac Cup, Road Cup races. Of course, he's previously won, so I think that's the theory around the Dunn stable. They're hoping that he's on that upward trend, but $2.30 now, Muscle Mountain to win the Cambridge 4-year-old Ruby, $2.50 for Bolt for Brilliance. Cracker Hill, $4.50. He's had a slight mishap there, so we'll keep an ear to the ground and get a hold of Brad Williamson to confirm how that preparation's going. And then Midnight Dash, who finished fourth in that race, out to $11. Again, Cambridge is going to be so important barrier draw wise now that we know both of those horses, Bolt for Brilliance and Muscle Mountain, can get off it pretty quickly.
Well, most important is Cracker Hill.
Yep.
Because Muscle Mountain has a 1/3 chance, 1 in 3 of drawing the second line. So before you start taking $2.30, don't get too carried away there, punters. Secondly, Bolt for Brilliance will improve. That was not as good as he went the week before, and he's a little bit up and down at the moment, only by a few percentage points. But most importantly, If you're saying Muscle Mountain's a 1/3 chance of drawing the second line, so too is Cracker Hill and Bolt for Brilliance, obviously. He's also flip of the coin to draw outside Cracker Hill. Now, as much gate speed as he showed there, Cracker Hill's quicker off the gate than that.
Yeah.
So if he turns up at Cambridge, you're talking about 50-50, he draws better than Muscle Mountain.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different ball game because Cambridge, off the marker pegs, is a different animal, particularly when you've got high-class, open-class horses, Cracker Hill, Bolt for Brilliance, and Midnight Dash, than if you're running to the front. He runs to the front in the duels, almost certainly he wins on that form. Cracker Hill runs to the front, he becomes a $4 chance, does Muscle Mountain. So can't bet into that market, Greg. What you can do, after your information, is bet into the Anzac Cup, knowing full well that Cracker Hill's not going there, either's Muscle Mountain. If you wanted to, you could back Sunday Sun and Bolt for Brilliance. It's very hard to believe anything's going to beat both of them with the 4-year-olds not heading there.
No, split bet situation there, as Michael's explained on this show, not a bad way to go. Let's go to the other Brecon Farms featured trot, the 78th running of the Livermore New Zealand Derby, and the benchmark 3-year-old 5 Wise Men was at it again.
2.5 clear, Son of Patrick, then Elderbaron Floss, wide out, Time Up the Hills barreling home, 5 Wise Men, Time Up the Hills coming, it's 5 Wise Men, he's out on his feet, Time Up the Hill flying, 5 Wise Men just in front of Time Up the Hill, and 5 Wise Men goes 5 in a row and gets the Derby. 5 Wise Men beat a brave Time Up the Hill, she got carted back and flashed late.
Well, in terms of trotting purists, you're one of them, aren't you?
Yeah, I just love trotters and that, and I suppose I ended up with them and so just grow to love them. But yeah, it's good when they do everything right and that, you know, so you have your ups and downs with them, but you know, it sort of keeps you on the edge of the seat, I suppose. Yeah.
Massive moment for you and Amy to get your first Group 1, and of course son-in-law John on the bike, and this horse, he's pretty special, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's a lovely big horse, and I think he only get better with time. He's really big now, so we sort of looked after him this season and didn't want to do too much, but you know, like he just keeps on growing. So hopefully, like in another 2 or 3 years, he'll be like a Sunday Sun or a Muscle Mountain or something like that, you know. So
he deserved that win tonight because he did more work than anyone else in the race.
Yeah, no, John said he just got a wee bit keen at the 1,000, so he got up on the bit, but so he let him go. But yeah, he sort of got to the line good, you know. I think he wants to win, you know, like good horses do, you know. So yeah, so that was good. You know.
What about Auckland? What about that way around?
We haven't worked him that way around yet, so we didn't want to change anything around. But hopefully, I think he's pretty good gated in that, you know. So hopefully he'll be all right. We'll find out. We're going to work him that way around Tuesday before we go. So yeah. So John's good like that. He'll work it out. So yeah.
Well, congratulations, mate. You've been in this game for a long time, striving to get a Group 1 win. So to win that tonight, a year to the day that your mother Gloria passed away. So I think the stars might have aligned for you.
Yeah. So it was great. Yeah, I didn't even realise, but because it was lockdown last year and that, so it was sort of quite a hard time. And I think she might have pushed him over the line the last 20 metres. So thanks, Mum. Yeah.
Oh, you'll be proud of that performance.
Unbelievable, yeah. I thought she was a bit unlucky, really. That's all I could say, you know.
Won the second row. Was always going to be a bit of a, gee, I need some luck here. You didn't get a lot, but she charged at 5 Wise Men.
I'm happy that I think she can stay. I was never 100% sure, but I do think now she'll be better over the long distances.
All right. The plan was always to go north. You're going up nice and early because you haven't done a lot right-handed.
No, I haven't done very little right-handed, just the odd day at home. But we're going to go up there and going up Monday. Hope to give her a jog around the trials on the Saturday and see how we go.
You're having a bit of fun, aren't you?
I am having a bit of fun, yeah. Waited a long time.
Yeah. Good luck up north.
Okay, thank you very much.
He was very good.
Yeah, brave Greg. Obviously, the draws probably weren't that kind to him, but credit to the horse. Real trooper. He stuck out the 2600 and had to make a bit of his own luck, and never gave it away the whole way up the straight. And took a couple of smart ones to beat him, and like you say, he was pretty game the whole way up the straight.
Yeah, very good horse, isn't he? 5 Wise Men, out of Harriet Hughes, who was third Michael behind Tozzy in the Derby of 05. Has already left Harriet a Mott and Muscles Galore. It's Ivan McNichol's breed. Big group of owners involved. Pretty special horse this, and you could see what that meant to Craig Edmonds. Difficult to get him on camera, not a big man for that sort of thing, but he was pretty emotional after that win, and so he should have been.
Yeah, it's a name that's synonymous with trotting a lot in the Canterbury region, but we've seen occasional visits from Craig and Amy up to Alexandra Park. I think a lot of people like the Ben Hope situation. Happy to see a different Group 1 winner. Happy to see people they know winning Group 1s. It won't be this horse's last, Greg. He's bred to be good and he's very good. A few hairy moments there. About the 850, 900, he put in a long hop, I think because he was pulling so hard and John had to let him go, but if you were on him at the short odds, it wasn't a lot of fun to watch. Big test coming up for him going right-handed. Alexandra Park can be brutal on horses who haven't done it before. He's never been worked right-handed this week, so he'll go into that with a word of warning. There's no doubts about that. Also no doubts he's the best of the crop. Unlucky Leaf Stride. Out of My Way was really good. Worth a watch, as was obviously Tom Up the Hill and Son of Patrick, who you touched on. But he's the best of them 5 wise men. Just one thing, Greg, which is annoying me about what's about to unfold with these 3-year-old trotters. And I know everything's not a perfect world and we don't get to play it that way. The best 3-year-old trotters, these horses, are going to head to Auckland for the Sire Stakes and the Derby, which is great. And then there's 3 or 4 weeks to the Jewels, which is also great. But a bunch of these horses are going to have to return to Addington for the 3-year-old Harness Million. Now, I think the Sire Stakes board did an enormous job under very difficult circumstances to rejig the entire back end of last season. 2-year-old races we missed last year because of lockdown. They moved them forward to the spring. They made it work. They saved these series, and that's fantastic. But this is wrong. It doesn't matter how you program races, this is madness. We're sending horses to Auckland, and you're an owner and I'm an owner, and people watching this are owners, and it costs $1,000 to get to Auckland on a float. And we're racing them in Auckland in the best races, then we're spending $1,000 to send them to Addington for the Harness Million in the middle of May, and then $1,000 to go back to Cambridge. If that happens to 6 horses, well, there's $12,000 lost to the industry. I know it goes to the transport company, and that's great. But it doesn't make any sense, Greg. I realise it's a tricky puzzle. I think too often in harness racing, we're starting to think, well, if we did the 2-year-olds in the north, it's only fair the 3-year-olds go to the south. It's not fair. These horses are racing at Alexandra Park, and they should be racing at Cambridge, and therefore they should be racing the Harness Million at Alexandra Park or Cambridge.
But it is 5 weeks from the last race of theirs, the Northern Derby, to the Jewel. So what you're saying is the horse should stay in the North Island for 5 weeks, potentially without a race. So that doesn't
no, I'm
really
not saying
make
potentially
sense
without a race, because they're 3-year-olds. Like any horse is going to get a race. There's no horse is going to miss a race. But what I'm saying is, if I was an owner of a horse, I'd be filthy on this.
It happens every 2 years because, of course, the flip side to that is when it's down here, works in perfectly and everyone's happy.
Well, and that's what I'm getting
So what
to.
you're saying is it should shift from the north to the south depending on where the jewels are?
100%.
Okay.
Makes perfect sense because we're costing the industry money. But also, more importantly, if I've got a horse who's half and halves there to go to the jewels, I'm probably not going to go because I'm back in Christchurch. If I've got Leaf Stride, he runs third, I'm going to go, I'm not going to the jewels. So why not just clump all these horses together? It'd be like saying for the Gallopers, for example, we have the Carnival in Auckland at Karaka Million, but you've got to go to the Guineas at Riccarton 2 weeks beforehand. Well, no one will go.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an easy thing to solve. I just think if we can clump these horses together, it makes more sense than have them travelling backwards and forwards around the country. And it's not like they can fly, Greg. They've got to get on a transporter and go across Cook Strait. It's just a pain in the arse and it's a waste of money. Not complaining, Sire Stakes and clubs did a massive job. Something we can look to in the future, I believe, to make it more efficient.
Yep, nothing wrong with that. Majestic Sun filly at foot she has as well, Harriet Hughes, and that is owned by Amy, Jenna and Donna. So I think Ivan McNichol gave them the mare, so they've got a filly to breed on with, which is massive for them. On those markets, the Sire Stakes, let's have a look at that. $1.75, 5 wise men to win that. It's very short, as Michael said, for a horse not having gone Alexandra Park way round. Leaf Stride $9, Son of Patrick $15, I think regular tyres about $6. And the Harness Million market that Michael's talking about there, Leaf Stride, the 320 equal favourite with Regal Attire. Of course, no Five Wise Men in that, was a homebred. Let's leave the trotters behind and go to the feature for the paces. It was for the 3-year-olds. Of course, it was the Derby, which is run each and every year right at this time. So let's have a look at Krug's winning performance. It is in the Diamond Creek Farm Pacing Derby of 2021, and the hot favourite did this to them.
Followed by the Falcon, but he goes for him now at the 150. Krug 2 lengths, Beatty Joe. Then came Shan Noble at the 100 metres. He has too much courage under fire. Krug and another Derby win. What a mighty animal. Krug by 2. Beatty Joe second. Third, maybe the Falcon.
Hard to come by these derbies. That'll be a big thrill.
Well, the expectations were big pre-race, and we thought we could do that, and everyone was telling us we could do that. But until, as I say, until the Fat Lady sings, it's never over. But it's just an amazing thrill, but just a relief was just a big thing as well.
Barrier draw comes out. Your instant reaction to that?
A relief that I hadn't drawn one the second row. So I wanted any draw but that. Sure, we all want to draw 1 or 2, but I felt like the horse, the condition he was in, he could make his own luck and overcome that. So it was just actually great that the horse did fulfil that and show that.
He's joined a really elite group that have won both derbies, Northern and now the New Zealand Derby, and horses that do that go on and are Grand Circuit horses. You've been around a few. He's given us that impression, isn't he?
Yes, well the CV's starting to look pretty good, Greg, and so as much as I don't like to look that far ahead, from age group racing to free-for-all racing is a big gap, but I'd like to think if he couldn't do it, well, there's a lot of others in trouble.
What about from now? Do you press on, go to the jewels, or do you sit down with the owners and go, actually, we could be in the cup as a 4-year-old?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there is a good sort of smorgasbord available, but my sort of just initial thinking is I don't want to throw away his age group racing. There is a lot of races for his age that he can do good in. I'd love to be in the New Zealand Cup. It's the passion of where we want to be, but that'll be every 365 days, there'll be one of them. But as a 3-year-old, he's only got another few months to go.
Congratulations, Blair. Huge thrill.
Yeah, it is, Greg. Any big race like that's always a massive thrill, to compete in and let alone come out on top.
Barrier draw. You really had to take luck out of play, didn't you?
Yeah, sort of did really with, sort of 2 of the major contenders inside me and such a big second row. So we had to take chance out of the play and, press the button early and just see what happened. But, we're able to get across.
Cran and Chrissy, they gave you a lot of confidence going into this race. Cran said earlier in the week to you, I know this for a fact, he couldn't have him better.
Yeah, and that's spot on. Cran and Chris have done a great job managing him from, how fierce he was in the Northern Derby for Tony, and the couple of alterations there, he's back to himself and relaxing well.
What about in terms of the quality 3-year-olds you've driven in the past? Where does he sort of rate?
Yeah, he's right up there, Greg, for sure. I've been lucky enough to sit behind some very nice 3-year-olds, but he's proven he can do it from anywhere, and he's very versatile. So yeah, definitely right up there.
When you consider the quality of horse that have won both the Northern and then the New Zealand Derby, he's in pretty illustrious company, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, mate. Those couple that have done it are, gone on to be genuine Grand Circuit horses. So, if this guy keeps improving like he has from 2 to 3, and there's no reason why he hopefully can't be there too.
22nd horse to have achieved that double. In recent times, Changeover, Have Faith in Me and Lazarus, a pretty decent sort of group there, and obviously he's starting to get right up there, Michael. In saying that, a couple of question marks around the quality of opposition, but you can only win, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Lazarus about him. Obviously, he's not as good as Lazarus yet, and he would have an awfully long way to go, considering Lazarus won the New Zealand Cup by 10 lengths when he was 4. But there's a little bit about him, obviously similar bred type of horse and similar looking and stature. I think he'll make an open class horse. I think there's no doubt about that. If you dropped him into open class next season, he wouldn't need to run an awful lot faster to be competitive. I agree with you, the crop behind him, it was always going to be a tricky year, Greg, with what we had last year, that really compacted late 2-year-old, early 3-year-old season all rolled into a couple of months. I think a lot of horses got stung by that. And that's why we've seen horses who weren't so busy at that period emerge around here. BD Joe being an obvious one, because let's not forget, Krug was fried by the size stake, so he was also a victim of that.
Yep.
It's all about faith. It's completely ended him. He's got no idea what's going on anymore. And then there's a bunch of horses like American Dealer have shown that once you get back in these fields, you're in a world of pain. So it's been a very topsy-turvy season. Krug's the best of them. BD Joe's the second best of them at the moment, and maybe Shan Noble's the next best. So heading towards the Jewels, I think it's fantastic for Cambridge that Krug is going there. It adds some real depth to a Jewels, Greg, which I think is going to be a lot stronger than maybe even recent years, even though the stakes are a touch lower. BD Joe is a horse you might be able to test him around Cambridge with the right draw. A few of these, Regazo Mac, obviously he looks a bit fried, Greg. Prep just hasn't gone the way he wants. He'll head to WA now. Willing to forgive horses in this crop, but I also don't think, looking at it, Greg, it's a crop where I go, well, this, and this will be an open class.
Yep.
Which some years you get, and some years you don't, and there still might be some horses to emerge out of this crop. So Krug, top dog, clearly. Open class horse, clearly. New Zealand Cup horse, not this year.
Yep.
Maybe next year. Yes. The rest of them, Greg, I suppose they'll find their places in life. But the horse who's embellished himself were the two. BD Joe, really good horse. Shan Noble, developing into a really good horse.
Let's hear from those beaten just in behind Krug. Terrific effort.
Yeah, it was a really good run, and it's hard to beat a horse like Krug when he gets the top like that. But no, I was wrapped with him. He's gone a really good race, and good trip helped, but he's just gone really well.
You did make him work a wee bit. You had to, though. You had to make him, do the first 400 metres and power up a wee bit. But you beat the others just as easy.
Yeah, you still sort of got to give yourself a chance where hopefully if you make him do enough work and someone else makes him do a bit more work, you might beat him. But it's all where the others comfortable, but. Like I said, it is hard to beat a horse like Krug when he's in front like that.
Barrier 1 in a derby can be advantageous.
Oh, yeah, for sure. As Mick says, it's the shortest way round.
Yeah. And this horse has come a wee way, though, in a short time, and now he's Group 1 placed.
Yeah, from winning a race at Oamaru last start to coming here, it's a big step up. And as you say, during the one, and then once Krug got to the front, it was never going to change, so it was great.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good performance from him, and one that we can look forward to, because he'll only keep improving.
Yeah, he's always sort of been more of a staying type. He always lacked that bit of speed, but he followed that speed good tonight and, just helped in the long one.
Well, tactically, it was never going to be an easy race.
No, definitely not, Greg, once the draws come out. But in saying that, though, I sort of had to go and put him into the race, and he ran a super race. He didn't go down from third by much and did a power of work getting around. So I was just probably a bit unlucky when I went nothing followed me that I could have handed to. But no, he stuck on, he tried hard.
Yeah, well, there's plenty to look forward to with him because he's on an upward swing, isn't he?
Oh, most definitely, yeah. He's still a bit of a green sort of fellow. He's just a lovely horse, though. So I would just be not at all disappointed with tonight and onwards and upwards with him.
So interesting comments there from our drivers. $1.75 for Krug to win the Jewels, the 3-year-old Emerald. Then you get out to about $6 BD Joe. Crucial there will be the barrier draw. We know his excellent gate speed. Shan Noble the same price. Pace and Pride just never got into the Darble, $7.50, and American Dealer and Luke John at about $9. Spoke to Crandell Getty, Michael, about the Rising Sun race, which he's now been invited to, alongside Pat's Beach Storm, who of course won the New South Wales Derby. That and the Queensland Derby on the radar, then come back to New Zealand, have a freshen up, go back, Victoria, Derby into the Breeders' Crown. So that appears to be the pathway for Krug.
It's a funny one when you talk about that. We talk about the fact that this horse could compete in the New Zealand Cup in November. He could also compete in the 3-year-old Breeders' Crown on New Year's Eve. His New Year's Eve options, Auckland Cup against Self Assured, Breeders' Crown against 3-year-olds. That's what's happened with this new change of calendar in Australia, not here, Greg. Imagine what Krug could do to the 3-year-olds over there by the time he's nearly 4, or 4.5 over here. So good option for him. Rising Sun, not so sure. Just with the Rising Sun, spoke to Ray Green yesterday. Now, Amazing Dream's been invited to the Rising Sun, and she's likely to head over. Ray said the chances of Copy That going have increased enormously because of the bubble, because Ray can go. Ray is also 73, so he said, I'm not going anywhere. I've had the jab, the COVID jab, the vaccination. So the Rising Sun, which is July the 10th, which is worth 250 grand, Amazing Dream and Copy That. They turn up, and Expensive Ego, you probably don't want to be heading there with Krug, but you could go to the Derby. It's potential. A lot of horses may or may not go to these things, Greg, but Yeah, that back end of the season, stacked with 3-year-old racing for Krug, is just incredibly attractive.
Yeah, it certainly is. Let's leave the Derby there, go on to the IRT Superstars, 38th running of this very good race, and the multiple cups winner was added again. His name's Self Assured. It's a good old battle though.
Sweats on the run from Amazing Dream. Pembroke Playboy, Self Assured. Then Amazing Dream, Self Assured, slowly getting to Pembroke Playboy. Then Amazing Dream. It's Self Assured with his nose in front from Pembroke Playboy. Self Assured, he does it again. Self Assured, Amazing Dream up for second. Pembroke Playboy brave in third.
Well, he's just a pro.
He is, Greg. Yeah, he showed once again why he's probably the best in, best in the country anyway.
It was a good battle though. Pembroke Playboy, Nathan decided to find out whether he was good enough to lead you or two up, and that made it intriguing.
Oh, I did, Greg. Yeah, he's probably sort of had to this week, but you know, our guy, he just gets out there and he sits there and relaxes, and sort of when Mark pushes the button, he just gets fighting. All
right, so Rangiora Classic for him. Post that, there's not really much else, is it?
No, there's not, Greg. No, he might go out for a wee break and then probably get ready for the Morrisone Vase.
All right, and then we'll have, of course, Amazing Dream up at the 4-year-olds and then on to the Jewels.
Yeah, that's right, Greg.
Well, you wanted to find out tonight.
Yeah, he went great, Greg. He just beat by 2 better horses at this stage of his preparation, but we re-rolled the dice. He went great. I was wrapped with him, but no, he's just got to improve a little bit to come back and beat him.
You're just telling me before, he's just got this tendency to have a bit of a play with his shoes, hasn't he?
Yeah, we pulled a shoe off again tonight. He seems every race he has, he pulls shoes off, but he's he's got a tendency for it, and he is, you know, a wee bit touchy on his feet. So we've just got to rectify that for the future. But no, he'll go home now, and he'll run in the Country Cups final at home, and then look at the Jewels, and that'll finish him for the year.
November is a beckoning, and I know you can't wait to get back.
Yeah, that's right. Next season, I think with another winter on him and just let him mature a little bit more, he can still physically develop more. So, no, we're looking forward to it. He's a good staying horse, and he just, you know, he only needs to improve a few lengths to be right up with him, you know.
$2.90 for the IRT New Zealand Cup, the defending champion Self Assured, $7.50 for Pembroke Playboy, copy that, $3.50, spank him $5 in the early markets there for the Cup. But Self Assured sat outside Pembroke Playboy. There is definitely a problem there with him moving a shoe, and obviously he lost one on Friday night, so if they can get on top of that, he's going to be right amongst it with these horses, I'm sure, come November, Michael.
I thought he was really good. He had to burn quite hard early at Pembroke Playboy, and both Self Assured and Amazing Dream missed all that burn and moved at the perfect time. So he's definitely an open class horse, as are a whole bunch of these emerging type horses. The Kangos and the Christians have times, and a few more from down south, like Vintage Cheddar. Winner was good. I thought Self Assured was significantly better, Greg, this week than he had been in his previous 2 runs. Maybe he's just better when he doesn't burn early.
Yep.
Like a lot of horses. Not sure about that, but Rangiora is an interesting challenge for him this week. I believe we have a driver update there.
Yeah, Johnny Cox will take the reins. Mark's been over at the Melbourne yearling sales, purchasing some yearlings that'll go to Nathan's, as I understand, so he won't be back in time. So Johnny drives work there each day now, so he gets the opportunity, well, I wouldn't say of a lifetime, Michael, but it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, versus Spankham. It'll be interesting this week to see what they do there, because Rangiora is obviously a track where you want to be in front.
Yep.
And if Spankham gets in front, would it hand to Self Assured? Will they both go off the gate at the start? Again, interesting times. Amazing Dream was really good. She's coming north at the right time, Greg. Interesting for her. She's been busy. She's going to get a lot busier. Taylor Mile Messenger, Mia's Jewels, which
and
she'll probably win.
Rising Sun.
Then the Brisbane campaign where she could race in the Rising Sun. So she's in for a busy time. Now, just on her, she comes to the Taylor Mile next week. Copy that, who is the favourite for the Taylor Mile, Greg. I think it's about $2.10 versus $2.30 or something like that. He went to the workouts last week, was beaten by Darling Me. He looked like a horse who was dicking around, to be completely honest. It was wet. It was an annoying day. There was only 2 in the heat. But Morris was tapping him up in the straight, and Darling Me went past him. I think he's got a bit fat on Ray Green. Talking to Ray, Ray said we're going to need a proper workout this week.
Yep.
Really crucial to watch how he works this week for his chances in the Taylor Mile, which is actually back to a mile. It's no longer 1,700 metres, it's a proper mile. Interesting to see how they draw, and also how he works this week, Greg, because he's going to need to be fit when you consider what Amazing Dream has done in the last month. So big watch on Copy That.
Let's go to the 2-year-old feature, the Avon City Ford Welcome Stakes. This record of the All-Stars continues. Not the All-Stars, the Rolleston base. I've got to get that right, Michael. They're just having an incredible run, 8 in a row. They've trifected it 5 times, couple of first fours. They got another one there on Friday night. And Cosmic Major, well, he just outstayed Akuta.
Cosmic Major in a busy finish. Cosmic Major and Akuta, they hit it, and Cosmic Major won it. Cosmic Major and nose on Akuta. Third in Franco Mack, fourth Bollinger.
Well, you won this race before with another masterpiece, and I reckon this guy might be a little bit similar, pretty genuine.
Yeah, look, lovely colt, Greg. You couldn't fault any of his runs thus far, obviously. Just no luck, he's 3 starts and had Sit Park for majority of it each time. So, credit to the horse, he's just really knuckled down today and, stuck at it, and, it was a real ding-dong up the straight, but, just lucky he really stuck the head out at the right time.
Another cracking result, maybe a little bit surprising because Cosmic Major, gee, he was brave.
Oh, it definitely was, Greg. He's a lovely colt, and he showed his last 2 starts that he's got a bit of bottom to him, and he had a week off, and he's really freshened up, and he really stuck to his guns this tonight.
Akuta was good because he's done a lot in a very short time.
Definitely, Greg. Yeah, he's had 2 trials, I think, and then 1 race at Winton there, and he went super, and he's still pretty large in condition, so he'll take a lot of improvement out of that too.
And we know out of your Rolleston base that the ebb and flow of the 2-year-olds, it can change a lot. You wouldn't have been disappointed in Franco Mack or Bollinger for that matter.
No, that's right. No, they were both super. I was really pleased with how they went as well.
Expect to see them, their next big targets here at Addington in May?
Yeah, that's right, Greg. Yeah, they'll go size stakes and harness million then after the Jewels. But the next couple of months are looking pretty exciting.
Yeah, 14th and 21st of May, the size stakes into the Jewels. 290 Cosmic Major, Michael, 320 about Akuta. I didn't think he lost too many stocks. He's still very lightly tried. Bollinger's the one that I think might be on that upward swing. I quite like him. If you want to back him, he's about 550 in both of those markets. So, there's a stack of markets available for you at tab.co.nz at the moment. But Cosmic Major had to be the best, and he was.
Yeah, he did. He clearly, look, reverse that. Say Cosmic Major's in front and Akuta sits parked outside him and beats him. Everybody just goes berserk. Akuta's the next superstar because he's the horse who came into the race with all the hype, and he led pretty easily. So I thought Cosmic Major outperformed him by at least 2 lengths sitting parked. He had to beat him. Yep. One thing I've learnt from what was the All-Stars, which is now Hayden Cullen over the last 10 years, Greg, is outside a Lazarus type horse where he just puts his hoof up at Christmas time and says, look at me, how good am I? Often they've said, well, we sort of think this and this and this are the best ones, and then 2 months later they've been totally different horses.
Yep.
The 2-year-olds change so much, particularly some of them strengthen, they come weaken off at different times, Greg, as you said. I wouldn't get carried away with the results. Clearly, they seem better than the opposition. Still, there's some pretty good ones up in Auckland. We're going to see there's at Cambridge on Thursday night, waiting for them. I don't think it's a case of those horses just clearing the table as they have in the last 10 years usually. I think there might be a few more. For example, Barry Purdon's got a couple up in Auckland, which might be good, Greg. With that horse, we actually raced the mare, that Rizalski, who's the dam with that horse, and she had an incredibly bad luck story. We bought her at 2, and we said to Mark, what do you think? He said, well, she'll be our best 3-year-old next season of the ones we've raced. Of course, the one he hadn't raced was the Dormee. So poor old Rizalski ended up taking on a Dormee for her entire 3-year-old season. There's no Dormee. Rizalski was probably a Group 1 winner for sure, Greg. So it just goes to show you how sometimes being good isn't good enough.
Isn't good enough, no, you're right there. Let's go to the undercard from last Friday night and reel off some terrific performances. Life's a Beach was outstanding in the Woodlands colours. We highlighted her beating Better Twist and Inevitly Heach came from an awfully long way back here and picked them up really nicely. Home in 58.3. Johnny Morrison grabbed 2 wins on a Premier night, so a big night out for him. Time in the bottle, the other one he was successful on. So Life's a Beach, she's got a bright future. She's beautifully bred, as we've talked about before. And the way she won this, she's going to be competitive in all of those big 3-year-old races. Longview Lady finished her career on Friday night. Last start for her. She's in foal to Art Major, raced by Ray Seebeck and Pete Malloy from their pigs breed, if you like. The Oink 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 and 3 Little Pigs and all of those. Well, she's from that family. So she's likely to leave a pretty nice sort of a foal. and Longview Lady won that in 2:24. So good time. The winner of 6 races, her progeny will be worth plenty, and she's done a great job for the Tolliman Lodge team, Blair Orange in the bike there. And then the last one we'll have a look at here, American Pride beating Majestic Lavros, who Mark Jones told us would probably be a run short, so it's gone terrific, but American Pride made it 4 from 11, and he looks to have got a lot stronger, and very good performance from him. Andy Hall charging home there into third, another excellent run from it. 1.58 million they did there, Michael, on Friday night alongside an Alexandra Park meeting. So not only was it exciting for us to see those fields and the quality of racing there, but the punters got involved heavily too.
Yeah, they did, and well done to a whole bunch of people who are pushing these races. Harness Racing New Zealand, headed by Dave DeSoma and his team, came out with a huge form guide, which you don't get in other codes. Just a form guide given to you free. You can just download it all, previewing all the races, Greg. There was a lot of build-up from Addington as well. So, look, I thought really strong team effort for everybody to get that sort of money. As turnovers continue to be good, turnovers are going to be interesting getting forward, Greg. There's a Trans-Tasman bubble, and people think, well, why does that matter? I'll tell you what matters. I'm going to Randwick this weekend because I can't have gone for the last 13 months. I'm going for work, obviously, but I'm probably not going to bet this Friday night in New Zealand. I might, but I'm not going to be sitting in front of the TV, Greg, betting. I'm one person. Add 1,000 to that. That's what's going to start happening now. The challenging time for turnovers wasn't when we were all stuck in the country together, Greg, watching television. The challenging time for turnover is going to be now, when people and eventually start going to Fiji and start going to England and start going overseas and spending time there. So I think turnovers are a really interesting subject. I've spent a lot of time talking to experts about this in Australia, and once you put everybody together, Greg, domestic product for a whole bunch of things is very, very concentrated. How that changes as the world starts to reopen is going to be fascinating for racing.
Yep, it certainly is that. Also fascinating, last week we started a discussion around premiership titles and who'd won what. So we've put together a graphic to discuss, Michael, around the champion of all times, which was Morris Holmes, with 18 premierships, Peter Wolfenden with 14, Morris McKendry Dexter Dunn there with 10, Tony Hurley with 8, and Frederick Smith had 7. The question you asked, though, was around brothers. Morris, Allen and Freeman, that's FG Holmes, who won it back in 1928, are the only brothers to have had that record. Of course, there's been father and son combinations, the Burketts, Colin and Leo, Scotty and James Bryce, also father-son combinations. But I love looking back into the history and seeing what unfolded over the years. But yeah, Morris Holmes, the maestro, he tops the premiership guide there with 18 wins.
So just to clarify that, Greg, because the question I asked you last week had any brothers won the Drivers' Premiership, because we're thinking one day John Dunn might be able to do it, and of course Dexter has done it. So you're saying out of all the history of harness racing, which effectively goes back to sort of 1890 for the group
as far
races.
back as we could go was 1915.
Okay, so we had one set of brothers who both won the premiership for the Drivers.
Three brothers.
Okay, but one set. So one set of 3.
Yep.
Wow. Out of all that, so I would have thought there were more.
I did check too with the likes. I know you were going to catch up with Dave Cannon. I talked to another learned gentleman, David McCarthy, who we're pretty sure we've got that right. So
it's funny you should mention that, Greg. I was on Weigh-In, the galloping show on Monday night, and I got a stat completely wrong. Just checked as much as I could, rang smart people who I thought would know. We all checked it. We all thought it was right. It was wrong. That's my fault. But it does raise the question, Greg, about our records for both codes. If I said to you, general conversation, who's won the most premierships in New Zealand, people now know it's Morris Holmes, and I think I knew that anyway. But most people don't know.
No.
And if I said to you who's won the most jockey premierships, no, there's nowhere to find this stuff, Greg. Now, I know it's not a big deal to change people's lives, but for the train spotters, it'd be great to have official records, and for the hounds, and for the greyhounds.
Yep.
Just on the internet. It might take somebody, I don't know, 3 days of their life to do it. We can employ a university student to do it, or some train spotter. It'd be great to have that info there, because if you ask who scored the most points for the All Blacks, it's there.
Yep.
Who's taken the most wickets for New Zealand cricket, it's there. I think our appreciation in an official capacity, to have on the websites, this is official, would be really, really good for all 3 codes, and I would implore them to try and get somebody to do that.
All right, stack of information there for you. Time for us to take a short break. When we come back, a whole lot more information, including we'll go to Alexandra Park and have a look at a feature race there from last Friday night. Welcome back into your box seat. Get a hold of us either via Twitter or, of course, via the email. Send in your questions. We'll do our best to answer those. Let's go back to Alexandra Park. It was the 5th on the program. Fireworks early, Michael Guerin. South Coast Addington and Kango went to war. 39.2 was the lead time, and it told in the end, but one of your love childs, Christians Have Time, got the business done again.
Yeah, he's a good horse. That's him down the outside. And yes, the race was set up for him, but you're still going to win. And I think he'll improve on this. So he's heading to an Auckland Cup by the end of this year. New Zealand Cups in the future, I would think. But before then, Taylor Mile, Messenger, then the Jewels. So he's on 3 Group 1s in the space of 6 weeks. Spoke to Logan Hollis, co-trainer. He said, yep, we need to find some gate speed somewhere, but he'll get it eventually. Maurice McKendry drove on that occasion. He'll be back on copy that. Tony Herlihy will drive this horse in the Taylor Mile. Spoke to Logan about him and Shane and their fantastic season as sellers and as trainers. He said, we've lost a couple of horses, we sold a couple, but we bought a couple at the sales. If anybody wants a share, Greg, they're pretty good judges, Logan and Shane, as you can see from their strike rate this season.
Yeah, he's a pretty nice horse. Let's have a look at the market, the mirrored markets, if you like, for the Taylor Mile and Messenger coming up over the next 2 weeks. Copy that, 210, Amazing Dream 225, Christians Have Time and Kango at $7.50, and then you get out to South Coast Arden at $13 a piece. He's won 80,000 now, has Christians Have Time. Just before we get on to a new initiative at Alexandra Park, the story on Angus Garrard with Garrards will play next week. We had so much information for this week's show, decided to put it back a week, but interesting chat with the young man. Michael, Futurity Series for the South Islanders and the North Islanders, $30,000 final at the end of the season. Good initiative from the ATC.
Yeah, great. What they've done is I've set a Futurity Series for horses who are maidens as of last week. As long as it's had a couple of starts in the South Island, it can come north and race in a whole bunch of races through June, which have a $30,000 final. So effectively a $30,000 maiden final, because you have to be a maiden now. Complicated stuff, Greg, but bottom line is if you've got a horse in the South Island and you're thinking this goes pretty good, you can send it to the north and it can race for $30,000 to complete its winter, as well as racing in probably smaller and somewhat easier fields. All the information is on alexpark.co.nz, but if you do have a nice maiden in the south at the moment, well worth checking out. alexpark.co.nz. They have some super racing coming up, but this is a new initiative by their racing committee.
Yeah, I think those South Islanders have to have 2 starts in the south before they go north, but yep, I think it's a great initiative there. The punting juggernaut rolls on at Cambridge, it says here on my script, Michael Guerin, and the Honey Queen was added again. Very good performance, excellent gate speed early. This was actually an all-comers record inside Vasari's previous best, 2:01.2 for the 1700. She's very serious, isn't she, Michael?
She sure is, and she's got good gate speed. She just jogged home here, and admittedly not the strongest field in the world, but this 3-year-old crop's pretty open. I wouldn't be surprised if she can lead in a Jewels or something else. Maybe a Nevelier Fillies final. She's going to be awfully hard to beat, Greg. So I do think because Better Twist is occasionally susceptible to getting parked and therefore having to do things tough, this filly might test her somewhere along the way if, of course, the barrier draws work out well.
Of course, a heat of the Nevelier series at Forbury Park on Wednesday, featuring the likes of Off and Gone and La Rosa. Let's have a look at the market for the Nevelier final. Better Twist, $1.90. Darling Me, La Rosa, the Honey Queen at $5.50. Dream On Me at $9, and Life's a Beach, who's clearly been the big mover there, Michael, at $11. So 154.7 mile rate for the Honey Queen. If you're thinking Harness Jewels and you're thinking her gate speed, chances of her drawing the front line and the way she ripped around there, they won't go a whole lot quicker in the Jewels, Michael.
A lot depends, Greg, on who draws inside a Darling, Me, La Rosa, those type of horses, and where better twist draws. So I'm not getting carried away too much. I think it's great the markets are open for the jewels. I think that's fantastic and I love it. Yep. But there's not a horse I'll see in the markets I go, I want to be on that. Yep. Just because there's a 1/3 chance you're going to draw the second line, and that changes the entire ball game. So therefore you're wanting 30% increase on your odds for what you could potentially get if they draw the front line.
Second last meeting on the grass was last Sunday, and a pretty special win there as well. I want to go back and have a look at that. It's been a real challenging time for the family of Glenn Scott. This is his father Fred's first ever win. Of course, Glenn doing such a great job with Take After Me, but Take My Breath Away winning this. Take After Me's won about 4 races pacing, about 7 trotting. Raced by the family. Glenn's a really popular figure in harness racing and in rugby league in the Kaiapoi region. He's not very well, Michael. It's been a really tough time for his family, so for Fred to get his first win there at Methven, I spoke to Blair Orange. He said, yeah, it was pretty emotional. It was a pretty cool win, and this horse taking that out on Sunday was nice for the family, took their mind away from it, but it just shows you that sometimes wins like that are as important as any feature race win, and for the Scott family, that was certainly the case at Methven on Sunday. Speaking of this Sunday, Michael, we've talked about the Rangiora Classic and the chances there between Self Assured and Spankham, and I'm pleased they got enough horses for it. Ended up with half a dozen Plutonium Ladies there, Cranbourne, Tango Tara. I think the other one was Cruiser. That's a good race. The 3-year-old race is an excellent race, featuring the majority of the horses that come out of the Derby, the likes of Arden's Ace, the Falcon, who was 3rd in the Derby, of course. Got You Covered was excellent, running on for 7th, made up a lot of ground. John Dunn back in the bike this week. Coravally Star, 5th in the Derby, and Pace and Pride, who didn't get into it, starts from the outside. So it's a really good 3-year-old race, that.
It is a good race, but I think Pace and Pride will be the one they come for, money-wise, not only because the stable's flying, but I think there's a willing to forgive on any horse who got back in the Derby and didn't move. So, yeah, good race. Interesting to see the tactics there. It's getting late in the season for some of these horses. It may be a case of let's roll the dice, see where we actually are in the pecking order, Greg, and that may help them decide whether they bother going to Cambridge to take on Krug. Just saying those jewels are going to be awfully strong. The one little thing you would say is a Krug-type horse might just deter a couple of trainers from heading north who would have maybe gone to the jewels had he not been going.
Really interesting race Friday night, Alexandra Park too. It's Heat 4 of the Magnus Benrose Sires Stakes Series. I want to show you a video of Cover Girl, and you'll see why shortly with our winners and losers and some big bets. This is Cover Girl getting to the outside in the Bob Butt colours, running past Playfully, who's already been a group race winner at Addington and the Leonard Memorial. She's beautifully bred. Spoke to Bob Butt about her. He said, yep, we're not totally sure until they get to the races, but she feels like a really smart horse. They dashed home in good time here, 27.4. It was a bit of a sloppy track. Goes to this Magnus Benrose heat and takes on Playfully, who's drawn to her inside in 4. Mickey Montana was excellent behind race rival Montana Glory, who again's in this week and starts from the outside. The money that's come for this horse for the Sires Stakes final would suggest, Michael, that if she's going to be winning that and moving from $11 into $4.60 like she has, then she should be winning this as well, but it won't be any easy catch for her.
You leave me out of that, Greg. Absolutely. This would be, I don't know this for sure, but that'd almost certainly be owner money or connection money or somebody close to the barn money. That's somebody saying my horse is flying, or someone going to the workouts, this horse is a superstar, and they're backing. It's the same denomination being bet again and again and again. So it's not a big push. It's, I would suggest somebody's got the idea in their head. I hope they're right. I hope they win a stack of money. But leave me out of any debutant in this race. Often 2-year-old races for the fillies quite weak. This is a very strong field. Yeah, good luck to the punter involved. Not for me.
Yes, several punters. Let's have a look at the hits and misses, and down the bottom you'll see how many bets have been placed on Cover Girl. So a nice play there on Five Wise Men for 5,000, as was the case with Krug. American Pride got the business done in race 10 that we had a look at before. Self Assured the same, and the Superstars and Ultra Wise Guy winning at flip of the coin there at Alexandra Park last Friday night. Few that went by. Kango was one of those at $2 in the race won by Christians Have Time. So there you go, Michael. Bottom there, option 3343 from 11 to 460. Don't know how you get $457.50 on, but anyway, that was the first of them at $11. And
Greg,
then
the 457 comes down for so whoever's had that bet's restricted to winning $5,000.
Right.
So what they've done is 11 times 457 gives you a $5,000 profit.
Right.
That's the same person, or it's a bunch of people who are related because 500, 500, 500, 500. That's what it is. So as I said, it's a tricky thing. I'm not going to get into it for people, but you can spot when there's been a plunge and you can spot when it's the same person backing a horse. I would suggest, I'm not saying it's exactly the same person, but I would say those bets were put on back to back to back to back to back.
Right. Yep. Okay. I think you're probably right, and we'll see if they're right, starting with this Friday night. Let's have a look around the nation and see where you can invest this week in harness racing. That Garrard Size Stakes Heat number 2 there as part of the Waikato Bay of Plenty meeting, 5:24 the start time there, 10 races. Alexandra Park, 5:35 is the first on their program. They have the 8 races there, including that Magnus Benroe Size Stakes Heat. We've got 10 at Addington, 5:15, a lower graded meeting compared to the last 4 there, but they have been exceptional, so still a good opportunity there for the punters. Mile day for the Wairio Club at Winton, 10 past 12 the start time there, the 10 race program, and it's Rangiora Classic Day, $30,000 there with the likes of Self Assured and that 3-year-old stakes race, 10 past 12 the first there. Pretty good program too. Right, best bets, you continue to win, Michael. Where are you heading this week?
Didn't pay much last week, Greg, but I found one this week. Really like this horse, Orua. It's in the first at Cambridge. Has raced in 3 maiden races, one of them against the Honey Queen. In all 3 races it's raced in, Greg, they've come home in 55 seconds or thereabout, or even quicker for the last 800. 55 seconds.
Yep.
Alexandra Park, bang, bang, bang. The last time it ran 5th or 6th, the 5 horses who finished in front of it have all won subsequently.
Right.
It's not a good thing, but statistically, and with the last 800s likely to be run at Cambridge, more likely 57 seconds, it should be winning the first on the card on Thursday. A lot of confidence in this tip, Greg.
All right, well, you're about 6, maybe even 7 on the bounce, and it sounds like you've done your due diligence. I've done mine as well, and I'm not on the bounce, or I am on the bounce the wrong way. Stack's the horse I've gone with. I've rung Regan Todd. I've said, mate, please, your team's going really well. Can you help me? Yes, he said, I've got a nice maiden, out of Star Rhapsody. The family's been excellent for Dave Clements. It's a 4-year-old by Well Said. It's trialled exceptionally. It's got a nice draw. Race 2, Addington Raceway Friday night. That'll do me.
Greg, just a quick note before we go. Cambridge Jewels, June 6, you know it's coming up. Book. You better book now. The Aussies are coming. They're coming because the bubble's open. There's a whole stack of them coming too. If you want somewhere nice to sit or somewhere to at least have a seat to watch the races, Greg, jump on the website there because Cambridge is selling out fast for the Jewels.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. The 6th of June. Don't forget, next week we'll have that special profile on Angus Garrard. Hope you've enjoyed your box seat this week. Michael and I will see you in 7 days' time.